Do you remember the cell phone commercials with people walking around saying, "Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?" That happens lots of times when we have people come visit us up on Melrose Mountain because we're cradled down in a little valley on a lake in the top of the mountain. Cell towers have to get over the top of ridges and then down into that valley before they'll work. And there are only a couple of providers that have real good reception up on Melrose Mountain. So lots of times we see people that have other than Verizon walking around saying, "Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?" And some of them even have to go up to the top of our driveway to get reception. Well, in 1 Samuel chapter 3, Samuel is hearing a voice, and it troubles him. He thinks it's Eli, and he goes to Eli more than once, saying, "Did you call me? Did you call me?" And Eli says, "No, I didn't call you. I didn't call you." And after the third time, it becomes apparent that Eli realizes it's God trying to speak to Samuel. And he gives him good advice. Even though Eli wasn't a great father, he did have some spiritual sense. And he said, "Stay and answer and say, 'Speak, for your servant is listening.'" What great words. So many times God speaks to us, and yet we don't hear him. Oh, it's not because we don't have a good cell tower. It's because we don't want to hear him, or we don't want to tune him in. Sometimes he speaks in a still small voice. Sometimes he speaks to us through his word. Sometimes he speaks to us through his people. Sometimes he speaks to us through circumstances. But many times we just don't listen. And I remember a friend once said, "Be careful, because if you won't listen to God speaking to you through his word, or through circumstances, or the still small voice, he'll speak to you through your enemies." Something to remember. God's going to get his message through to you. He'd like it to be through still small voice or his word, sometimes through his people, sometimes through circumstances, although I think that he tends to try the other methods first. But if we still won't listen, he can speak to us through his enemies, through our enemies. Who would you rather listen to, your friends or your enemies? How often have you not listened to God? And how often have you not said in response to what God had to say to you, "Speak, for your servant is listening"? Good lesson for all of us. One that I'm going to play 2 days instead of just one. It's going to be the Friday devotion. It's also going to be the Saturday devotion, because I think we have to be careful that not only are we listening so that he doesn't have to speak to us through our enemies, but I think it's important for us to be able to respond back to him, "Speak, for your servant is listening." Can you hear me now? That's your thought for the day. God bless you. Have a great day.